Good morning, everybody. My name is Vittal. Hope you can see my screen. Thank you for joining today's webinar. Techwave, Tech Data, and Automation Anywhere are the participants. Are the ones who are picking up this webinar today. I'll update from Techwave for the first few minutes, what we are and who we are and all, followed by Sumit, who will talk about the Automation Anywhere bots, and then we'll have some demos post to that. That is how the entire webinar is being sketched out. You may park your questions until the end because we believe that many of your questions can be solved during the course of the presentation. So the Q&A session is being kept at the last. Having said this, so let's start our webinar. Once again, thank you so much for joining today's webinar. My name is Vittal, as I mentioned to you, and for Techwave. Techwave is 16 plus years old in the business. It works mainly on information technology related products. It has 1,500 plus employees worldwide. It's present in 11 countries and 5 continents so far, and rapidly increasing its footsteps in various other countries. There is one global delivery center in Hyderabad and 3 regional delivery centers across the globe. We have about 500 plus customers, and then there are 3 business integrated units with us. We are a CMMI level 3 certified company. We just got our appraisal again back, so it's extended. The date is not updated over here. So this is a global presence and the footsteps where we have from a Techwave angle. These are the key industries where we serve, which includes BFSI, logistics, consumer packaging goods, retail, life sciences, essential services, manufacturing, where we cater to various digital transformation offerings, which includes analytics, digital, IoT, cloud, and IMS. And then we have an enterprise core. Business process outsourcing or automation is part of the enterprise core, and the robotic process automation services forms part of BPO in Techwave here. We also own a IoT manufacturing company within India, and we also own a private cloud company, which cater to the needs of the clients. So these are the 8 business units which serve based on the need for the client. We assume we are fully equipped to do an end-to-end IT related work for our clients. Why Techwave? We believe that we have the digital workforce plus the human workforce, making us a true digital partner. We also have partnered with various people like Automation and SAP and a lot of other things, which actually helps us put us in a forefront whenever we try to deliver the things. We have our people who come up with various backgrounds with relevant experience, and then we also try to equip them based on the need. There is a 40-hour mandate from our CEO to get trained for all these people so that they can enhance their skill sets, and then they in turn create the process and then do the performance for our clients. And we believe this strategy works very well. Now coming to our topic of robotic process automation, RPA, the definition in a very simple term is using some technology and strategy to reduce the manual repeated tasks, wherein the human efforts can be mimicked by a bot, which in turn gives you more accuracy, and the speed of working will be more. Typically, there are 2 types of bots. One is unattended bot, and the other one is attended bot. Unattended bot means the bot will run based on an event or by a trigger of an event. Attended bot is like there is a human interface in between. Say, for example, if there are 5 steps in a process, maybe we can put a bot to do 1-2 steps, and 3rd steps requires a human touch, and 4-5 will be again performed once the human touch happens to make it an attended bot. I'm just trying to tell you at a very high level. RPA trends, as per the Gartner, I think there is a huge market. Now with the COVID, every other company is looking to reduce their cost of operations. We hear a lot of job losses and all this because they want to reduce their operational cost. But I believe that instead of reducing their human efforts, I think they need to look at opportunities to reduce their cost, and RPA is one of the things. There is a huge market coming in the next 5 to 10 years for the RPA. We typically gauge our clients in this glide path basing on the way they are trying to get into this RPA. Robotic process automation, like um, it 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 it's not like a big automation that people are looking at. They want to spend a very less money and then gain more out of it. So based on this path, Techwave tries to support the clients to create a transformation path for them, or if they already know a pain area and they want us to create a bot, then they use Automation Anywhere kind of a tools and then support them. Sumit will talk more about that in going forward. If they want us to run the process, then we will also take over the process and then use the bots and then do a process changes for them and then try to give them the benefits as much as we can. So very high level value propositions when we implement RPA in any kind of a process, it can clearly be seen that the accuracy will improve and also the potential to save the FT will also come into picture. One of the ideal ways of using RPA is not to automate everything. Maybe look at those opportunities where there are repetitive manual tasks, say around 60 to 80% in a process, use a bot. These are some of the industry use cases which are being available from an RPA aspect. Typically, transaction processing like account payables or account receivables or reconciliations or any terms which are related to the operations, posting of data, retrieving of data, sending out automatic emails. These are the top things which are being utilized by various industries today with RPA. Not only this, there are many other new opportunities which are coming up, new ideas, and then the bots are being made available for those new ideas and opportunities. Our methodology is very simple, and this is being backboned by Six Sigma and Lean, where we try to address the client needs by planning and identifying the relevant processes. And within the relevant process, which are the key steps need to be automated by using an RPA, and then try to develop and analyze that particular portion, execute and automate, and then maintain and sustain that particular piece for the client. As I also already mentioned to you, Techwave deliverables would be like in case if you want to do take over the process, we would be happy to take over the process and then do a process change and a technology change using the bots, and then try to give more accuracy and productivity for the clients. So I'll pause here. Now I'd like to hand it over to Sumit from Automation Anywhere. Just to give you a quick intro about Sumit. Sumit has about 20 plus years of experience in top tier global banks. He's an evangelist of software automation. He has implemented automation strategy and execution in BFSI industry and has built a lot of automation COAs in multiple banks and led their digital transformation agenda. Over to you, Sumit.
Thank you, Vital. I think interesting presentation. There'll be some duplication from my side, but I think it's important to reinforce some points over here. I will encourage everyone here who have tuned in to ask as many questions they can during in the Q&A section. So first of all, good morning and hello everyone. 15 minutes, I'll just take you through how we see from Automation Anywhere, how the digital workforce is transforming the organization, and I'll explain you what digital workforce is. So, Vitul, can you just confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, Sumit, we can hear.
Okay, thank you. All right, so a quick introduction about Automation Anywhere. The facts are there on the screen. I think while all the analyst firms have rated Automation Anywhere as a leader in the RPA segment, the most important point for me on this particular slide is 2.4 million digital workers deployed, because these digital workers are out there in the industry working with you and your colleagues and your peers in the industry and helping in creating that capacity and doing job bit more better, right? So and I'll explain how that works as well in the presentation and what do you mean by digital worker. And this number is constantly increasing. It's difficult to catch up. I'm sure this is already outdated now, but it's being automation as such is being rapidly deployed across the organization, and more so it became apparent during the pandemic. And I'll explain you how. So when we The poll which you responded to, we asked the similar questions, actually the same questions to uh, in the other webinar sessions, and we had an opportunity to reach out to some 5,000 executives over the last few months across these regions. And what came across is these points, which basically leads their share of mind. So the organizations are looking for continuous digitizations, enhance productivity, accelerate automation, and upskilling of the workforce. Understanding from what they have gone through, reinforcing the belief that that's how the new ways of working would be, and convincing uh, or changing their beliefs rather, if I would say, because some organizations are a bit of skeptical about getting onto a digital journey through automation and all. I think because of uh, COVID, this has given the COVID has given a bit of a push to them, right, and push them in that particular direction. So if these are the main highlights, right? If I double click on this one to zoom in a bit in terms of what these four main thought points consist of, what we see, if you see on the first picture over here, that the strategic priority for the organization is reducing the operational cost, and it's given, right? With your top line depleting, you will have to create the profitability in the organization or reduce your loss, and the one way you can do it is controlling your own cost, right? So that's one. Second, which comes just behind it and completely related to it, increasing productivity, doing more with less, right? So again, keeping the cost flat, but you're able to provide more services, and in many cases new services, and that comes to 6%, the diversity revenue stream. And the 18% is more about how do we ensure that in the future such incidents doesn't impact us significantly. So how do we make the organization more resilient? So keeping today's things in perspective in the future as well, and also creating more opportunities. So that basically is the breakdown of what's the strategic priorities looking like. But if you also see on the right side, how do you achieve this, right? So the technology which they are looking at is RPA, intelligent automation, and machine learning. I like to combine these two together, right? And followed by big data and other emerging technology. And why so RPA and intelligent automation? Because the ease through which it can be deployed, right? And if any changes are coming through, it can be tweaked as well. And if you look at the bottom right, the skills, and I spoke about in the previous slide as well, upskilling of the workforce. I think that's the key. While the technology is here, it is already available. Many organizations are using. What we have seen is the mindset has been a big hindrance. While with the pandemic, that mindset has got a shift, what has got a change, but the intent now has to be supported by skill as well, right? And that's where a lot of organizations are setting up time aside for their workforce, for the employees to learn on the new and emerging technologies, right? Like ML, RP, AI, and big data. So that basically paints the picture. I hope this resonates with you as well, and to the responses which you have basically provided, right? To get an idea in terms of where you are, how your organization is looking at, how they are preparing themselves for the future. Um, Now, how do we do that from technology perspective? And that's where automation digital workforce comes into picture, right? To put a very basic overlay onto it, what you see on the screen is the anatomy of end-to-end process. Like any process you think about, right? It will have these 6, 7 common points, like capturing the data, enriching it, then you validate it, then you process the data, then you reconcile from what the input and what it looks like on the system. You create the reports out of this, and then you help your stakeholders or end users. Like from a helicopter view, high level view, these would be the predominant steps which you will be looking at doing. It could be in your finance space, in your HR space, in your IT, or it could be in procurement, in any of those business functions. And this is where the digital workforce foundation comes into play. It has been designed keeping this particular overlay in mind. So what you see here, these boxes of discovery board, IQ boards, enterprise bot insights, are designed to help you automate these steps, smartly and intelligently, right? And I'll double click on all of those. But before I get to it, it's about automating the entire value chain, right from capturing the data to processing the information and then supporting your customers. It's not about taking one step within the process and just automating it. I think This used to be the case 6, 7 years back when RPA was, fairly new. But I think now the organizations have become quite mature, and their ask is that I need the full value proposition of the automation which you're providing and just not a part of it, right? You may start somewhere in the middle. You can start with something small, but eventually you will have to see end to end the entire value chain. If I click on these boxes, Discovery Bot, it's a new module. It's a cognitive module which enables the end users to map their processes and then convert that mapping into the some degree of coding, which then can be fast tracked to automate the bots. Many organizations, when we have spoken to, they said they do not have the right process mapping in place. They don't know the consistency, or there's no standardization in the process. So to fast track that part, the discovery module or discovery bot was designed, where it will allow the SMEs to record the steps, and the steps could be recorded right from, getting an email, right, through various different systems till the end, right? So all of that can be recorded. It will give a graphical view. It will give combination of 3 SMEs doing the similar steps, and you can pick and choose to make a happy path. Once you have created that happy path, you can convert that into a say 30 or 40% of coded bot, which then can be further worked upon to get it into production. So identification becomes smart, easy, and intelligent, and it also fast tracks your bot development. If you move to capture and automate the orange and green, let me focus on the green box first. That's RPA, and Vittal spoke about it, attended and unattended. I won't dwell much on that, but just one comment that it's for, in my definition, it's a logical bot. High volume activity, specific directions. You ask it to do it, and it will just get it done. You can do it overnight. You come in the morning, the task is done, or it can work together with you on your computer in the attended mode, right? So that's the heavy lifting, the grunt work which the office staff does. And then you have the orange box, which is your artificial intelligence IQ bot, which is your cognitive module, which deals with structured and unstructured and semi-structured data. It could be extracting the invoice details. It could be helping in onboarding a customer with KYC. It could be a bill of material, which you need to extract the data from, right? It could be your the contract documents, and you need to take some conditions out of it, or email which you are receiving from by the customer or from the staff, and you want to put the sentiment analysis on top to understand the mood of it. So all of that can be done with the help of IQbots, and IQbot is compatible with other open source technologies and other technologies which invokes with Expos's API. When you combine RPA and IQbot, it becomes a really powerful combination to really make a significant difference in the way you work, which means that right from identification and then capturing and then doing the thinking part of what I spoke about, like reconciling, all of that could be automated from end to end. And the blue box, which is bot insights, I think it's a very logical step. See, any activity we do needs to be measured and monitored to understand the productivity of it. Like how the human workforce, they have KPIs and the reports are generated. Similarly, it's done for the bots as well. And the bot insights can provide you the operational stats, which is the average handling time by each bot, the uptime, downtime, the total number of hours it ran, and the sorts. But also, it can provide you with a business value, that what dollar value or what rupee or what was the exception, what was the risk categories, and all those business values could be created as well out of the bots. Please know that the bots, when they function, they create a very significant big audit trail, which enables you to be more compliant than humans, but also it gives you the enough data points to create very useful insights on the activity which is done by the bots. If I go to the next slide, this was just, I wanted to throw these use cases. I know today's audience is from various different industries, so I picked up corporate functions because that is one of the functions which is common, irrespective of the industry you come from. So we all will have finance and accounting, IT, HR, customer care, and supply chain, right? So what you see here is some common use cases which we have seen with our customers. I think you just want to take a screenshot of this or just make a note of that. But I think that's where you would want to start your automation journey from, because there's a lot of learnings already available. We have the bot store where you got some standardized bots available. You can download that to fast track your journey. And for example, finance, accounting, you deal with a lot of structured data. You deal with a lot of data points. You can generate the reports. From the treasury side, you can understand your cash positions and all. IT, which we have seen, RPA bot is used for the first level of check, the first level of support. For example, your printer is not working, you can invoke RPA bot to go and do some configuration checks, and the report can be provided for the L2 guys to have a look. Okay, then they need to get involved in it, right? So an HR from hire to retire, customer care with the attended bot, speaking with the customer, with having the right details on the screen without agents scrambling through and trying to get all the information toggling between the screens. The attended bot, the smart forms in attended bot can provide all the relevant information to the agent. So the agent can have the first call resolution, reduce average handling time, and have the opportunity to upsell and cross sell. And supply chain, it's a very common use cases in terms of onboarding the new customer in just in time and just in case delivery, and also identifying some sort of a patterns and frauds with it. So just few examples I thought that would resonate with you guys. Very important slide from my perspective. When you start your automation journey, it's usually what we have seen is about ROI. We want to show some savings, and rightly so, because when you're starting your journey, you have that thing in mind. Okay, if I show some cost saves, that will be well received. Having said that, once you get deeper into it, the meaning of scaling changes. It is more about providing value to your stakeholders or to your customer, keeping them in the center with the help of intelligent technology you have. So you have to think, you have to start thinking opportunity like labor optimization, faster cycle time. How do I keep the customer experience better, consistent, same for long period of time? How do I avoid peaks in the volumes and manage that optimally? So labor optimization is well, and then employee productivity is also high because I'm not burning them down. I'm introducing bots to help in these peak cycles so they can still go home and in time and come back in the morning fresh and raring to go. Compliance and security, many a times a lot of regulatory bodies or your internal compliance and audit team will put some conditions on it which you have to adhere to in a given timeline. You can certainly use bots to help you in that case. So again, you take the pressure of your existing team, and also you can show to the compliance and InfoSec and audit team that you have a plan in place and you're working towards achieving it. So that's the key, I think. As you embark on your automation journey, please keep these big items in mind and not only on ROI. Last slide from my side. I spoke about these 4 boxes. If I take a step back, what we have tried to do with Automation Anywhere platform is we have tried to make the platform as easy and as seamless as possible by building productivity packs, for example, which means the bot will seamlessly integrate with Excel. For example, on the Excel ribbon, you will have a logo. You can click on it to invoke your bot. We've got 4,000 plus customers, so we've got a lot of learning. That learning has been bundled into a bots, ready to use bots, which is available to download from Bot Store. Bot Store is now also available for your internal bots as well, so you have both global and internal Bot Store. And the orange ribbon at the bottom, AI powered cloud native, very powerful development. This enables organizations to build the bots from the browser itself. You do not have to install any application on your machine, right? Which democratizes the bot, because if you have that facility available, you can start building the bots from wherever you want. And another important development since the pandemic has been upon us is the adoption of cloud. We have seen significant uptake for 2 reasons. To be a bit more, the organization wants to become more resilient and also looking at scaling, right? And because of that, we have seen a lot of organizations opting for the cloud model, and that also enables them to run their projects in the OpEx mode because they don't have to go and procure servers, so they don't have to go for capital expenditure. So they reach out to us, we provide them with smart automation as a service, our own cloud offering. And for few organizations who are very sensitive about the data and very strong on the compliance side can also go for hybrid option where you have your own local cloud and will basically come and install our control room on that. So I've rushed through, but just wanted to give you, because I want you to see the actual bots in the work. So you got Brisbane who will take you through that. But just wanted to leave you with this particular context, right? That it's very important to understand that when you're looking at a use case, you're looking at solving the problem, and to solve the problem, you should have the right toolkit with you, which takes you right from the discovery of that particular opportunity to deployment, and should be robust and scalable. So on that, I'll take a pause. We'll looking forward to your questions in the Q&A section. Over to you, Brisbane.
All right. Thank you, Sumit. Thank you for a very brief introduction about the product. I'll just take you through a very quick demo of a purchase order creation using Oracle application. So on this demo, I'll be covering both the RPA concept as well as the IQ bot, the cognitive feature for Enterprise A 2019. All right. So on this demo, what I'm going to show you is a purchase order process creation or an automation using in SAP using A 2019, which is quite a very common process in most of the organizations. So generally how it happens is you receive a purchase quotation on the email, and then you have an employee going ahead, reading the emails, downloading the quotation that can be in an image or a PDF file, and then he or she goes ahead and uploads this particular content into an ERP application. Now, let's say when you say an ERP application, it can be your SAP, it can be your Oracle PeopleSoft, or an in-house ERP system, or let's say Tally 9.0, which is commonly being used nowadays. Right? Irrespective of the ERP system, this particular process is a very quite common thing which happens. Now, how do we get this done using RPA and the cognitive feature called the IQ bot? All right, so we are trying to get this done using the RPA feature in conjunction with the cognitive IQ bot, where it will automatically download, read the quotations by itself, and create the purchase order in the ERP system. All right. For the demo perspective, we have taken SAP which is a commonly used ERP application. Right now, in a granular process, what happens in a purchase order processing, right, using Automation Anywhere? So we go ahead. The RPA part goes ahead, reads the email, and downloads the particular code which has an attachment on it, and it uploads a particular file into the IQBot server. The IQBot server, basically what it does, it goes ahead, reads the image file or a PDF file, and extracts the content into a CSV file, which is a structured format. Now, once you have the data in structured format, your RPA gets into action, and it logs into SAP automatically and creates the purchase order. So once the purchase order is created, what happens? It is sent for approval to the concerned manager. Right? A very simple, straightforward process in a demo perspective. Now how do we get started? We go ahead and create a learning instance for all the different sets of purchase quotations. So you can see we have taken the document type as a quote, which we receive as a purchase quote, and we also go ahead and add certain fields like the vendor name, the quote date, the total, and you will also have some repetitive fields, what we call it as a table. You might have quantity, product, item total, unit price, all those information. As you can see, you would have multiple OCR engines like the Google Vision API, the Tesseract. Once that is done, we upload a couple of sample documents, and the IQ bot analyzes these documents and starts the training. Now, during the training, we go ahead and map all the relevant field labels and the field value pairs like you see on the screen, right? The quantity is mapped, the item amount, the date, the vendor information, everything is mapped. And we go ahead and make sure we see the extraction results. Once we have the extraction results well and good, the IQ bot is sent to production. On the next step, is to build the task bot. You can see the interface. This is what we call as the workbench, right? On the workbench, you can see towards the left pane, you have actions, which we also call it as packages. You have around 675 plus commands, integrated commands, where you can just drag and drop it. Anyone who has a very basic knowledge of programming, a very subtle knowledge of programming, they can just drag and drop the commands create a flowchart, and build the task bot. Now, when it comes to a developer part, they would prefer line of codes. So you can see towards the right side of the screen, the entire program or the bot is built using the line of codes. Now, what do we do next is we build the task bot using RPA A2019, right? And the RPA takes care of the entire automation process, starting from reading the emails, downloading this particular, the attachment, whether it be a PDF file or an image file, right? It will download it into your local system. Post after which the RPA sends this PDF file to the IQ bot and extract the CSV file. So you can see on the screen a runtime action window on the bottom right corner. Now the codes are basically downloaded in the format of a PDF. Once that is done, the RPA sends these PDF to the IQ bot, where it gets converted into a structured format, what we call here it as a CSV file. So you can see the CSV file popping into another folder. And once the CSV file is extracted, the bot automatically logs into the SAP application using the credentials. And you can see the field values or what we have extracted from that particular PDF is being entered into the SAP. A very simple, straightforward process. You can do anything, something similar to this. Let's say, for example, you want to do a two-way matching with your PO and your invoice. Or let's say you want to go ahead and extract something from your KYC documents and put it into an ESIPF website. Anything is possible with the RPA plus the conjunction of IQ bot. Now, like Sumit said, it is not always the financial things. ROI is a major concept here. We also take into along with the ROI, we also take into consideration a lot of key takeaways or the key benefits of automation. One would be when you have a large volume of the codes or purchase orders or invoice from multiple vendors in different formats coming in. It is quite tough for the human resource to go ahead and read it, identify the values. Now, the key results of this particular automation would be utilizing your human resources, increasing their productivity. Secondly, will be accelerate the procurement to pay process, because your employee need not be full time in front of the machine, right? So you can set up an unattended bot. Whenever there's an email coming in with the code, let the bot automatically trigger and start the entire process without any further delay. Now, a final thing or takeaway will be of the key results of the automation will be chances of reduction in human errors, right? So that's all from my end. I will pass this over to Shyam, who will be taking you through the interface as well as explaining you how to create a very simple bot using the A2019 cloud application, and he will also execute the bot in live, and he will take you further. Over to you, Shyam.
Thank you, Brisbane. I am sharing my screen right now. Okay, what you see here is the typical A2019 screen that Brisbane and Sumit has been talking for a couple of minutes before. So we have the workflow as well as the normal code that you see here, and it's a simple bot that I'm going to execute here. And as Sumit has explained that we have the intelligent digital workforce, which has got the different attributes. So one of the main attributes here is the automate. And as we have also seen on the fold result, that majority of us would like to go in with the RPA as well as the intelligent automation. So I would like to showcase one of the live bot demo here. So the bot demo, it sends out an automatic email to the participants who are here. So I'll be running the bot here. So you can see this, and in a couple of minutes, you will be receiving a mail to the entire participants. So if you have received, if any of your participants has received, you can either say yes, or you can ping it in the chat bot. or you can in the chat, or even you can say yes in it. So this is how the simple bot works out. And I'll just wait, pause for maybe a few seconds or so that I can get some result from the participants here. And so this is the process that you see regarding the bot. And there might be some kind of a delay or so in your the receival of the mail, which includes mostly because of your server or other such latency issues also. But as such, I would like to hear from the participants if at all you have received any of the mail. Can I have the yes or so from here? And as such, I will, yes, I see a few of the people here. Yeah, thank you, Rajat. Thank you very much. I will pause here. So this is one of the bot demo which I wanted to show it here, because we have quite number of participants which here we have been sending out mail here. And thanks from here. And I will hand it over to Reena here. Thank you very much. Over to you, Reena.
Thanks, Sham. Thank you so much. So it was a pretty interesting session from Sumit about Automation Anywhere, and we could see how that works from the Brisbane's demo, followed by Sham, who has shown in a real time, how does a bot works, a very simple bot. So we would open now for the questions and answers. Request you all to post your questions so we can take this forward. While the questions are pouring in, Sumit, I have some few of the questions for you in case if you can answer them. One of the
sure.
Like how to identify a process which using Automation Anywhere. This is a basic question, who may want to get into RPA, but they don't know how to or which process they want to select to move into Automation Anywhere bots.
Okay, that's very, thank you. It's a very basic and important question, because that's how you start your journey, right? So let me give you a non-technical answer and a technical answer. The first thing, non-technical answer, is that you need to find a sponsor or find one particular business function where you will start your automation journey from. And in that business function, there will be a lot of problem areas which you need to understand, or if you're from that particular business function, you would know, right? So that's the key. Once you have the business with you or the SMEs with you who wants the bots to help them, it will be an amazing journey, because you don't have to then go and fetch for use cases. The use cases will come to you to automate, because the domain knowledge versus the need to automate that, it's a really good combination to have. So that's one. Second, how do you go about it? What we have seen, the traditional methods has been that the business excellence teams who basically write the processes will sit with the SME and will go through the process steps, identify the each clicks and the acceptance of each process, the steps within the process, and will come up with a flow diagram if it's not already available, and identify which parts within that particular process or that use case can be automated. That's still very prevalent, which is happening. The technical or the smart way of it is using Discovery Bot. It has been released recently, where you give it to the SMEs and they will record the process. So this will do the recording when the SMEs are processing that particular steps or doing that particular use case. It will capture each and every element and then will present to you in a very graphical way that which all application or screen that was clicked on right from the start till the end. So the entire process map is available, and this can be combined for 3 SMEs together. So it will give you a 3 different views, and then you can pick and choose which step you would want to automate that, and by creating a happy path. And once that is there, you can convert that into the elementary state of bot. So the discovery module itself will create the bot for you to an extent. It will not be a production ready bot, but it will take you to a point where then you, with the help of automation developers, or if you are good yourself, you can build the bots further. So to sum it up, I think non-technical, you need to make sure that you understand the business function, you got their support, so they understand and appreciate and provide you with the continuous use cases. And second is to use the technology like Discovery Bot or the traditional means, which we are still seeing in the industry.
Wonderful, Sumit. So I have a follow-up questions on that one. There are two, in fact, in this. One, is there any limitation on the data size of the inputs for the bots to run or being used? Number two would be, is there any ROI calculator which can help team to understand, out of their ideas, what to prioritize first?
Yeah. So when you say data size, there is no data size as such. Like when you're doing a process, it's basically capturing the process maps, right? It's capturing the process steps. So because you do the automation at a presentation layer, it will capture each and every clicks which you're doing and will put that in a process flow diagram, which you can then pick and choose. So that is that. So there is no dependency or dependency on data as such. Uh, Second, the ROI. Now this is an interesting point. So there are ways to calculate ROI, and we provide recommendations when we do the consulting sessions. But ROI has got various different elements into it, and when we get to connect with you, we'll take you through that particular workshop on how ROI can be calculated. When you start your automation journey, there are certain elements which are not part of building the bots. But when you get bigger into your automation journey, more business units adds on to it. Some business units will bring their own business analysts, so that becomes part of the cost to build the bot and the sorts, right? So there are standards and methods available which we can share with you.
Super, thank you. One typical question from one of our attendees is like, can we use RPA to block bad traffic into the network, which comes from the internet?
So if, yeah, the interesting one. Do I have a technical answer to it? I don't. Brisbane, you want to give it a shot? Please feel free to do that. But before you do, just from what I could think of is that if you can identify which is if there's a criteria to identify what is the bad traffic, I think, and if that can be keyed in, then bots can do the rest, right? Because it will, as the traffic is coming in, there'll be a filter at the router level, right? And with the help of the bots, you can access that particular data set and you can identify them, and you can block them as they go through.
That's right, Sumit. Yeah.
Sure. So one more question: do we need any technical knowledge to run these bots?
Brisbane, wanna have a crack at it?
Yes.
Let me see your answer and my answer, because we have not exchanged the points. Let's see how in sync we are.
Let's see. Yeah, yes, definitely. So with the with the knowledge of running a bot, I don't think you would require a technical knowledge. Let's say this A2019 was built in regards with a citizen developer, which means any business user who has some minimal knowledge about using the existing IT systems. Anyone who has knowledge about using Excel or just using a computer can go ahead and execute a bot. All right, so they will be accessing this particular tool using a Chrome or any particular browser, or let's say using your cell phone. You will have your bots listed over there and the computers which you want to execute it. You just go ahead and select that and click on run, like how you go ahead and play a music on your phone, as simple as it is.
Now that you touched upon Excel, there is one more question on that. Is this bot similar to Excel macros?
No, it is not. And it's very important to understand. I'll tell you a story. So when I was a practitioner, but the last year, the similar question was asked to me that, okay, why can't I use Excel? I can build this particular solution. For example, it was for global markets, a risk team, and they were heavily on building macros. And they had a team of 10, 15 people on that who were doing this macro development. So they were very territorial, and they said, whatever the bots can do, we can do that in 2 hours. And to that, my comment was that, you're not creating solution in 2 hours, you're creating problem in 2 hours. And because what happens is once you start to build a macro, there is no governance, there is no audit trail, you don't know where the macros are sitting, who is working on, people leave, there's a legacy. And then when there is an error, you don't know what's happening there, right? So think from that perspective, the degree of simplicity is almost the same with bots, right? But it is far more intelligent, capable, scalable, traceable, and can be governed, right? So there are two different things. The term is very loosely used. It's macros on steroid and all of that, but it's not the case. Once you use it, you will have an appreciation of it.
Right. One more typical question which comes to in the mind of people when they want to get into RPA along with Automation Anywhere would be, in which phase of their digital transformation should Automation Anywhere be introduced?
In which phase of?
Phase. I mean, they may have some ideas, and also do they need to get into Automation Anywhere on the first phase or identify the
I
process?
think you should get automation anywhere even before you are starting. It's it's a journey, right? It's not about just developing bots. It's journey. So you will need some expertise, help in terms of setting up the picture and the vision, right? And we are creating a playbook around this. That how do you initiate, plan, execute, and transform? Right. So so why it's important is that there's a lot of groundwork which is required to get the right stakeholders on board. How do you go about it? How do you talk about the technology? How do you talk about the benefits of technology in a layman's language and all of that, right? So it's before the starting line, to put in a simple term.
Super. Um, who owns the IP for these bots, which are being made through Automation Anywhere?
So the IP belongs to the organization. We just provide the tools, right? Because they're your bots, right? So
Right, right.
yeah,
All right.
Brisbane, feel free, yeah, if you want to add to
Yes,
it.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
One more typical question, this is big automations when we switch on between various technologies platforms. What about the migration in case if the client wants to move on to different RPA platform from the current RPA platform when they have certain bots in place today? Is that a
Yeah,
doable thing?
so it's a very common scenario, very common scenario. I will not say any ill about any other RPA product, but we have seen many a times that the organizations who are already in their automation journey would like to jump on, say for example, to Automation Anywhere for various reasons, and it's a known thing which happens in the industry, and we help them to migrate these bots. It's part
Okay.
of the exercise which we do. And it's a very common scenario, Vital, because it happens very often. Yeah.
Sure. One more question is on the data security, because a lot of data is being identified, put into these bots. So what kind of a security policies are in place or the governance available for the users?
Brisbane, you want to take a shot, then I will talk on top.
Definitely, definitely. So actually, no information is travel to the cloud or to the bot. So your information, whatever the bots are handling, is exactly it remains in your own local machine. All right. Now coming to the different governance techniques, we have different encryption tools like AES-256. Now let's say, for example, you are logging into the email. You will be punching in your username and password into the bot, right? So in case you don't want the bot to see that particular information, we have something known as a credential vault or a locker manager system, where the credentials are basically saved in the bots in a locker vault, like how you have a regular locker vault in your house, right? And it is pretty much encrypted. So basically the data remains in your system until and unless you want it to be traveled or taken towards the cloud. So your data is pretty much safe.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think there are two parts. One, in the product itself comes the bank grade security, right? Like TLS 1.5, SOC 2 compliance, and all of that. I think from the governance perspective, that is, we will help you to build a strong governance where you identify who's doing what. So that's also very important, that how you basically ensure the developer is doing the right development, so there is no compromise over there, who is approving it, who is not approving it, and the sort. So it's both from the business perspective and tech perspective.
Sure. One last question to you, Sumit. Is there any minimal budget that we need to keep aside if you want to start this bot journey with Automation Anywhere?
So you can buy bot now on your credit card. It's available on our website. You can go and do that if that's how it is now, you know. But I would suggest that you reach out to us. We will understand your need and we'll work with you to come up with the best possible solution and options for you. Because many times you might be thinking
Wonderful.
something, and yeah, and we'll work with you. That's why I said, you know, when it's important to engage us even before you start your automation journey.
Yeah. So the case to case varies, and then looking at data.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. I think now almost we are at the close. I would like to thank Sumit Brisbane and Sham for taking us the journey, and I also want to thank all our attendees who have been with us for the last 1 hour, who would have seen this. And I assume that we'll have a follow-up calls with them. Thank you so much and have a great day. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you all.